I said kids will be kids when my children hit another child. That was 3 months ago at the community pool. My twin boys, Kevin and Austin, were 7, and they'd been shoving this smaller kid underwater during swim time. The kid's mom came over, her son crying with a bloody nose from hitting the pool edge. I just shrugged and said those exact words. She stared at me like I'd lost my mind, then grabbed her kid and left. 2 weeks later, I got an email from the pool manager. My family was banned permanently. Apparently that mom filed a complaint with photos of her son's injuries, and 3 other parents backed her up with stories about my boys. I called the manager, said it was ridiculous, kids roughhouse all the time. He said the decision was final. My husband Grant didn't even seem surprised when I told him. He just nodded and went back to his laptop. That should have been my first clue something was wrong, but I was too busy being mad about the pool ban to notice. Next month, Kevin's teacher called me in for a meeting. Apparently he'd been bullying a kid named Otto in his class, pushing him down at recess, stealing his lunch. The teacher said this had been going on since September, and she'd sent 4 emails I never responded to. I checked my spam folder that night and found all 4, plus 3 more from Austin's teacher about similar stuff. I showed up to the school the next day and said the other kids were probably provoking mine, that boys are naturally more physical, that everyone was overreacting. The principal, this older guy named Mr. Walsh, just looked tired. He said both boys were getting 3-day suspensions, and I needed to figure out what was happening at home. When I got back to my car, Grant had texted me, "We need to talk tonight." That was it. No context, nothing else. I drove home and found him already there at 2 in the afternoon, sitting at the kitchen table with a folder full of papers. Turns out he'd been documenting everything for 6 months. Photos of holes punched in the boys' bedroom walls, screenshots of messages from other parents about playdates that ended with their kids getting hurt, a list of every time I'd made excuses or blamed other children. He'd even recorded me on his phone 2 weeks earlier when Kevin broke Austin's nose during a fight, and I'd told them to toughen up and stop being dramatic. Grant slid divorce papers across the table. He'd already filed, already had a lawyer, already moved money into a separate account. He said he was getting primary custody, and I could see the boys on supervised visits until I got help. I laughed in his face, told him no judge would side with him over their mother. The custody hearing was 4 weeks later. Grant brought Mr. Walsh, the pool manager, 3 different parents, and our family doctor, who said she'd noted concerns about the boys' aggressive behavior in their files for 2 years. His lawyer played that recording of me dismissing Kevin's broken nose. Then they showed texts where I'd told Grant to stop being soft and let boys be boys. I lost. The judge gave Grant primary custody, said the boys needed structure and consequences I wasn't providing. I got them every other weekend with a court-appointed supervisor present. The supervisor was this young woman named Holly, who wrote down everything I said and did. First supervised visit, Kevin asked why they had to see me with a babysitter. I started to explain it was all a misunderstanding, that their dad was being dramatic, but Holly cut me off and said we should play a board game instead. The boys barely talked to me the whole 3 hours. Grant enrolled them in counseling, started teaching them about boundaries and apologies and taking responsibility. Kevin wrote a letter to Otto saying sorry for bullying him. Austin made a card for the kid from the pool. Grant posted about it on Facebook and got like 200 supportive comments. I made my own post saying I was a victim of parental discrimination and the system was broken. Got 37 reactions, mostly angry faces, and my sister commented telling me to delete it and get therapy. I blocked her. Month 4 of the new custody arrangement, I showed up for my weekend visit and the boys asked Holly if they could skip it. Said they had plans with their dad to go hiking and didn't want to miss it. Holly looked at me, then back at them, and said we could reschedule. I drove home alone. Grant sent me a text that night with a photo of the boys at the top of some trail, both of them actually smiling. Caption said, "First hike without a fight, progress." I stared at that photo for 20 minutes. They looked happier than I'd seen them in years. My lawyer called last week and said Grant was filing to modify the custody order, asking for supervised visits to be reduced to once monthly. He had documentation from their therapist showing the boys were thriving with less contact with me. The hearing is next month.